Hey everyone, I'm Kalilah Reynolds and welcome to another live edition of Taking Stock. We're bringing you all the latest business news and, of course, telling you how it will affect you and your money. And remember to head over to the website if you have not done so just yet. If you're not yet on the newsletter, once this live has ended, you want to get that newsletter straight to your inbox twice a week. Hit the like button, guys. Give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, let me know in the chat where you're joining us from. Let me know which country, which part of Jamaica, which part of the world. Now, here's a look at what's coming up in tonight's show, followed by what's hot in business. Come on, let's get this money.
How would you like to develop your very own NFT? Yaad Labs is making it possible for Caribbean companies, celebrities, and creators to offer ownership of digital assets created on blockchain technology. CEO and founder of Yaad Labs, Jaymeon Jones, will join us. And the analysts weighing on the latest market developments. Supreme Ventures' 9-month results are out. How did they perform? And Mailpac's fall off in earnings has caused the company to double down on its e-commerce and other initiatives. But first, here's What's Hot, brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart. The Bank of Jamaica has licensed the first 5 out of 100 microlenders that have applied under the Microcredit Act. The companies are Access Financial Services, True Blue Financial Services, Kingston Finance, Nicana Investment Company, and Chris and Charles Investments Company. The aim of the Microcredit Act is to regulate the microcredit sector. The BOJ said that under the Act, it is charged with general admission and supervision of microlenders. The Consumer Affairs Commission is responsible for making and issuing a code of conduct for licensees for consumer-related matters and investigating complaints. Jamaica Broilers has shut down its operations in Haiti. JB has been operating in Haiti since 2010. The shutdown will reportedly cost the poultry company $900 million. According to the company, operations at both its locations in Haiti stopped on October 29. Speaking on Taking Stock recently, CEO of JBG, Christopher Levy, said that Haiti's unstable social and economic conditions makes operating in the country difficult. Elon Musk's run as boss of Twitter is off to a rocky start. The company is reportedly facing some serious money issues as advertisers have begun to pause spending on the social media platform. Musk tweeted the company has suffered a massive drop in revenue but did not give any details. He blamed activist groups for pressuring advertisers, even though Twitter has not changed its content moderation strategy. Additionally, the company is facing several new lawsuits following its mass layoff of staff globally. Thousands of fired employees have moved to sue Twitter for wrongful termination, claiming they were not given proper notice. The company is reportedly asking employees to come back after saying that they were fired by mistake. Apple is advising customers that they will have to wait longer to get its latest iPhone models after COVID-19 restrictions slow down operations at one of its factories in China. According to Apple, the factory run by Foxconn is operating at significantly lower capacity following virus outbreaks. The company says it is now expecting low iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max shipments, forcing customers to wait longer to receive them. Last week, access to the industrial zone where the factory is located was suspended for 1 week following a surge in infections in the area and the departure of workers from the factory. This comes just weeks after Apple decided to scale down production of the latest iPhone due to lower than expected demand for the product. What's Hot was brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart. This segment of Taking Stock is brought to you by Bulwark Insurance Agency, insurance made easy.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Time to shout out our early viewers. Let's see who is joining us and where you're joining us from. Starting with Kish, who had the first comment today all the way in London. He says, London in the house, had to wake 1 hour earlier since the clock changed, but we're here anyway. Let's get that breaking money news. Thanks for joining us still, Kish, and setting your alarm 1 hour earlier. We appreciate that. We appreciate your presence. Yes, it is daylight savings time is now in effect. So maybe we might have a few fewer people on tonight because they might have forgotten that, Jamaica doesn't observe daylight savings time, and so the time change, and they might have forgotten. So just nudge your friends and remind them that we are actually on right now. We're live right now. Or they can, of course, catch the rebroadcast later, anytime on YouTube. Who else is here? Jason says, it's been a while. Welcome back, Jason. We're always happy to have you back. Robert is joining us from New Jersey. He says, happy birthday, Taking Stock. It is our third birthday indeed. Let's get that money. Antoinette says, good night here in Arizona. Waiting for my Tuesday fix. LeVar, of course, in Mandeville. Moses joining us from Trinidad and Tobago. QB Quillholic in Grand Cayman. And Javon says, good night. Waiting in line for that next dividend payday. So great to have you guys on. Let's get into this evening's show. If you're a business owner who sells online, or if you're a content creator with a loyal fan base, you can develop your very own NFT. A Jamaican company, Yaad Labs, is making it possible for you to offer your customers or your fans ownership of a digital asset created on blockchain technology. So to tell us more, we have CEO and founder of Yaad Labs, Jaymeon Jones. Hi, Jaymeon.
Good night, Kalilah, and good night to the viewers. Happy to be here, excited.
I'm excited to talk to you as well because NFTs they have been a hot topic for the past couple of years. But before we get into NFTs and what you guys are doing, tell us a little bit about you and Yaad Labs, how you started this company.
All right, well, my name is Jaymeon Jones, CEO and founder of Yaad Labs Limited. We're a Web3 studio and agency. We make NFTs for the international community, and we help Caribbean celebrities, companies, and countries do the same. Well, how I got started, I went down the crypto rabbit hole, so to speak, about 2 years ago. My background is marketing and economics. So when I initially heard the rhetoric, the narrative behind Bitcoin, the idea of sound money, bringing digital scarcity to the internet, I was enthused. I believe that, the adjustment that Web3 brought with the advent of cryptocurrencies and NFTs, bringing scarcity, especially to money in the sense of Bitcoin, that was very interesting. So from there, I just studied more and more. Then I discovered NFTs and what it did and what it does. And I'm sure many of the viewers are interested in, what exactly it is. How can I help them understand better how this applies to them, how it affects their lives, and how we as a company can help them utilize the technology.
Right. So tell us about NFTs, because I'm sure our viewers have heard of it. We've spoken about it on this program before, but we may have some new viewers who aren't as familiar and are wondering, what is this whole NFT craze?
Yes, I get that question a lot. So it's short for non-fungible tokens, but like at a broad view or at a high level, you can think of it as infrastructure to easily prove and transfer ownership. To make it simple, in terms of how the technology is applied, the most common use cases, it manifests itself at present, mostly in digital art, digital collectibles, and digital membership passes. Now, even though that's at present, what's most popular, how it's most popularly applied, there's actually a lot more to the technology. It can be applied to real estate. It can be applied to the financial markets, i.e. it can actually serve as both the security and the certificate for the security. It can serve as, the buzz term, metaverse assets, in-game items. It can serve as digital identity and, access or the gateway to participate in governance. So the scope is actually much broader than JPEGs. But again, at this early stage, the early use cases and why it formed, I can go into that if you'd like, but it makes sense.
So just give us some examples of what we can use an NFT for.
Sure. Well, for starters, most people collect. Some people speculate. In other cases, some people actually use it. Be it an in-game item, or if it's a case where it's attached to a celebrity. Let's say it's Shensia, for example. Not saying that she did a collection, but just to give you an example of how it's been used. It can be the case where this NFT token gets access to unreleased music. So let's say you're a huge fan of whichever artist you're a huge fan of, and you'd like to hear the music that she's not released to the public. How much is that worth to you as a fan? An NFT can actually serve as the means to access the content. And even for someone like you, Kalilah, if let's say you were to do, I see a lot of super fans coming on and making comments. Let's say it were a case where you wanted to do exclusive content to wean out and find your super fans. It could come at a cost, and that cost could be paid, or the membership could manifest in the form of an NFT, which is actually the use case that I'm very much interested. And in terms of the product releases that you'll see from my company, from the studio side of the business, will actually manifest an NFT, but as a membership pass. So we're very interested.
How is that different from doing like a Patreon, or if you have a website that offers a membership? Why do an NFT as opposed to just doing it the traditional, simpler to me way?
Right, brilliant. It's actually a great question. So, all right, let's look at some of the things that are inherent to NFTs. When I break it down to people, I normally break it down in like three broad categories. We look at the economics that comes with doing an NFT collection. We look at the technology itself, and we look at the social implications. So very simply put, let's take a PriceSmart, for example. How many people have bought a PriceSmart card, probably only used it once, and then it's a case where the 6,000, the 7,000 GMD that they spent on it is now a sunk cost. If you were to use an NFT, if the membership pass were an NFT, there'd be a secondary market opportunity for you to be able to sell it on to another buyer who wants to join PriceSmart, to be able to recoup some of the funds spent. So it's very interesting from like a social standpoint. It changes consumer behavior in some sense, again, because of the secondary market opportunities. Now, very quickly on the other two, from the economic side, it brings, again, digital scarcity to the vastness of the internet. So to take another example, let's say you're a digital artist. If you make a digital art, put it online, somebody else can claim that it's their work, use it, possibly make money, or at the very least, let's say your meme went viral on Twitter, somebody else can take claim of it. However, if it were an NFT, you could capture the value in the IP, meaning like you could literally make that meme an NFT and sell it for value, sell it for money. So that's something else, like from, again, like an economic standpoint, because before, obviously, memes, in the vastness of the web, it's hard for you to before be able to say, okay, all right, this is the original, this specific one that was created by the original creator. Now with NFTs you can. And then lastly, from a technological standpoint, it enables royalty payments. So let's take a Da Vinci, who was famous for his art pieces back in the day. If he were to sell like an art piece, he sold it to somebody.
Leonardo da Vinci. I don't know why I thought it was some artist named Da Vinci.
No, not Da Vinci. Although he can use it too.
Leo, the old school,
right,
old dog Leo.
The old school, yeah, man, the OG. So let's say he sold his artwork to somebody in Cuba, and then the Cuban sold it to somebody in Afghanistan. There would have been no way for him to track when it passes hands. So if he can't track how it passes hands, how can he enforce a royalty? If he were alive today and he made his famous pieces an NFT, every time it passes hands, he could collect a royalty. So from that sense, he's incentivized because his estate, his kids, his kids' kids, his kids' kids could earn royalties in perpetuity forever. So it makes sense. Tell me if you're following so far. I want to ensure that
I am actually.
Okay,
so for the past probably 2 years or so since I first heard about NFTs, I've been trying to understand it. I think I'm starting to get there. I'm starting to see the point. Do NFTs make it easier or more difficult for plagiarism to occur? Because in this digital world, all you need to do is take a screenshot. So one of the things I've wondered for the use cases in art is why bother owning the NFT when you can just take a screenshot and it pretty much looks the same?
Yeah, that's a popular narrative, and I want to debunk it in two ways, right? First, from the utilitarian standpoint, let's say utility is attached to the NFT. Of what relevance is it if you took a screenshot? You don't have the unique policy ID attached to it. Because of that, you can't claim the benefit. So yes, you took a screenshot, but you can't get like a personal call with Shensia because of it. You can't log into a platform that token gates her exclusive content for
Right.
specifically for NFT holders. And then if we even look at it from like a basic art standpoint, to I guess the meat of your question, art carries value for more than one reasons. It's the person, it's the artist, it's the time, it's the historical significance. So if Leo made the Mona Lisa at this specific time and it was as big as it was, when somebody else copies the Mona Lisa, if it's found out that it's a fraud, it has no value. It goes to zero immediately.
Right.
So with an NFT, again, because there's a unique policy ID attached to it, you can verify for yourself if you indeed hold the real thing, and you'd know it's the real thing if it's coming from the correct creator, if it was from their wallet address, and with the correct policy ID, and with digital identities coming into the fore in short order, you'll be easily able to, even without doing those things, track if it in fact was the original piece that came from the artist. So it's not just screenshotting the art, like it's a fraud, and it's easily proven that it's a fraud.
So the audience is starting to ask some questions. Let's take some of those questions. The first one comes from Kadir. He says, many artists have had their artwork stolen and minted without penalty from the minters. So I'm assuming he's referring to the same NFT situation, because in the mint.
Right.
So is that the case? Has that happened? And how do you get around that?
Well, all right, there have been cases of plagiarized artwork. It doesn't stop people from plagiarizing, but what it does is it creates a transparent means for people to be able to, if they were to do their own research, be able to distinguish that this is not an authentic piece. So despite them, let's say somebody did a one of one, it came from like a specific artist, somebody else decided, okay, they're going to take that same NFT, screenshot it and make an NFT for themselves. There's still a way for you to track that it's not the case, but unfortunately, it comes down to on the consumer education side. If you're not aware of the policy ID, if you're not aware of who the original creator was, it can be difficult for you. Like if you don't know to say, okay, I need to go and check that this is in fact from the original creator and the collection. I will say this though, there's a solution coming. There's projects like IMX, Atala Prism, where there are going to be integrations in the future where you'll be able to distinguish it just by virtue of there being social media or photos attached to the collection itself that's verified. So in a similar way that you verified on Twitter, for example, there will be that to kind of help consumers to be able to readily distinguish that, okay, this is from the original creator. Anything else that doesn't carry this is a copy or a scam in some cases.
So Lanestra is asking, why not just put a copyright on it?
All right, so and that's a great question. If we even think about, let's say, the local scenario, right? Let's take Jaipur. I know that they've been making a lot of effort to be able to communicate with other intellectual property offices across the world, but in some cases, some jurisdictions just don't want to interact with Jamaica or other regions simply because they want to be able to give their citizens as much leeway to create, i.e. even the US, for example. So there are limitations to how far-reaching your copyright can go. So now, with blockchain, there's another option to be able to help you prove that, in fact, this is your piece. And if we even think about, let's say, the ease in which one can do things, you have the poor man's copyright where you could mail something to yourself. You have the more formal thing where you could go to a Jaipur, go through their process. This is now something else that's coming to the fore that people can do right from their laptops. So, I mean, copyright obviously has its advantages, and just broadly for the audience's sake, if you manifest your intellectual property physically, you do have some level of protection. But again, like, the onus is on you to prove it when the time comes if you want to enforce that this is in fact yours. Blockchain is another route to be able to effectively do so.
Right. So it's basically built into the whole technology.
Correct. That is correct.
So how can we in the Caribbean actually go about doing this? And you listed several different types of NFTs. So you have the arts, you
Right.
have membership, you have music. Which one do you specialize in, or do you do all of them?
Oh, we do all. Well, just to be, completely, open about where we are as a company. We're actually pre-revenue. We're very much a startup. So far, we're currently raising. We raised 100,000 USD to date. We closed around in December and we launch in April. So we're not yet available necessarily to the public. But when we are, we do all sorts and forms of NFTs, everything from collectibles to art, to music, to membership passes, and some very interesting use cases even along the lines of real estate. We've had persons actually reach out to us to help figure out how we can apply it to the technology. So we do all forms, to answer the question directly, or we'll
How
do
do
all
you
forms.
how do you create an NFT?
All right, so there are several ways you can do it, right? The non-technical way, the easiest way to do it, you can go on a third-party website, a marketplace. They have creator tools. You can go on OpenSea if you're interested in minting an NFT on a blockchain called Ethereum. You can go on JPEG Store if you're interested in minting an NFT on Cardano. And it's very simple. Like, you'll see the creator tools there. So you could simply have your JPEG image. You follow the instructions that they provide, and they handle everything for you. They write to the blockchain. They have the basics of the smart contract in place. So you just set the royalty amount that you'd like to collect. Bam, 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 4 clicks and you're done. And you could also use infrastructure, whether it be from a private entity or directly from the protocol itself. You can use, for Cardano, you can use NMaker to help you with minting with minting NFT. Or I think on Solana, I think Metaplex is their vending machine. But yeah, in long and short of it, you can go directly to the marketplace, the easiest way, JPEG Store and OpenSea, or in short order, if you don't want to do that and you want to launch it correctly, you can come to us in short order.
Go to the experts.
Yes, ma'am.
I always like going to the experts because I don't like messing things up. If that's
I
your zone of
understand.
genius, I'll let you do it. So, so
Correct.
basically, though, it's like putting, I guess, to simplify it, it's like putting a
Right.
smart tag on a digital product.
Correct. To simplify it. That's right.
All right, we have some more questions from the audience. Lavar wants to know, how easy is it for us investors to get into NFTs? And well, you already went over some of the benefits.
Well, for starters, even starting off with the term investors, I get a little nervous. So you do have some NFTs that are securities that act as securities, and hopefully in some cases are registered as securities. The first thing you'd have to do is you'd have to get a wallet. You could download a wallet. If you're interested in using, let's say, Ethereum, you could download MetaMask. What you could do is also you could sign up for an exchange. Kraken is actually Caribbean friendly. So again, a wallet, exchange. So wallet, it could be an OpenSea. Kraken could be the exchange that you use. Then from there, you simply use your Visa debit card or a credit card, pay for the relevant cryptocurrency. It hits your wallet. You go to an OpenSea or JPEG store and you start buying NFTs. Now, to touch back on I guess the investment side of things, we want to be careful, right? So when you buy an NFT, I guess the question is why. If its number go up, you want to be very careful. However, if you want to buy it because you like the product, let's say you have an attachment to it, similar to the way you would Pokemon, that's okay from a collector standpoint. Same thing for art. If you believe in an artist, you like the piece, you collect for the art. Now there's potential that it can appreciate in value, but yeah, that just be careful is the long and short of it, is what I'd say. But yeah, that's how you get involved. To summarize, MetaMask, Kraken, Visa debit, purchase cryptocurrency, go to a marketplace like an OpenSea, JPEG store, buy the NFT, know why you're buying, and do the research and collect from there. Collect safely.
And how easy is this to do from Jamaica and the Caribbean? Because I know trying to purchase crypto, there are some challenges. Some of the banks block the transactions. How easy is it for us here to be able to purchase NFTs on these platforms?
Well, some financial institutions have determined to make life difficult for us, but there are others that are more friendly. Scotia, one of I use a Scotia Visa debit. My understanding is that, so far I've had no issues. They limit how much I can spend in a day, but that's on everything. You can't spend more than 1,000 USD from your Visa debit in any one day. So that's something to look out for, but they're friendly. And I've been told that NCB is also friendly enough. So you can use any one of those financial institutions to interact with Web3 and blockchain technology and derivatives.
All right. Another question comes from Nanosense, who asks,
After a
how
great
does your
start.
company make money? Well, you did say that you are pre-revenue, but how will you
Right.
make money?
Right. So from the studio side, we'll be actually making and selling NFTs to the international community. We're doing something that we've not seen before. It's going to be an NFT. It's a membership pass that token gates a travel club that will give members free and discounted vacation. So from a studio side, we'll be selling NFTs. From the agency side, it's your classic business model. Think client services. So in 2008, when people wanted to figure out how to get involved with social media, companies, celebrities, countries, they hired an agency. A similar case here. It's just that maybe how we make money is a little different. If it's a case where the client wants to monetize the technology, because you can do it to improve business processes and avoid disruption and those sorts of things that don't necessarily have to do with making revenue. But if they are using it to make revenue, we charge a commission on top of our upfront fee. And if it's a case where we finance the project, we'd also take down some amount of the royalties as well. So that's how we make money in short. We sell NFTs and we charge people to help them figure out how they can either sell NFTs, improve their business processes, or in some cases avoid disruption.
Makes sense. That's a service I would definitely pay for if I was interested in doing an NFT. I can't bother but try to figure it out for myself. Make the professionals deal with it.
Yes,
but you've
ma'am,
actually done NFTs for some local celebrities before. Can you say who?
Well, for clarity, so members of the team individually, we've helped people abroad, overseas, do collections, but in like different capacity, like in the manner of working for somebody else. So we've done, members of the team have done work with Lucky Maniki, Ja Rule, Lightbulb Man, Boss Logic, Andy Warhol. Members of the team have also done work with Paper Chain Inc., some huge integrations with Spotify, Apple Music, Tassen. Members of the team have done work in the space before, but it's just now we want to start our own thing. We've gotten the experience individually. Now we want to come together and do something special for the Caribbean region. We're a special company in the making. You guys can look out for us.
Well, do you have somebody saying that it's the wrong market for NFTs and way too late? Do you agree with, clearly you don't because you're here,
No.
right? But in terms of the market for it being here in the Caribbean, what's your outlook?
Well, we take a long-term outlook on the technology itself. Remember earlier when I defined what NFTs are, it's infrastructure to easily prove and transfer ownership. This has implications on things that we haven't even explored yet. For example, in the US, they're just now exploring selling real estate as an NFT, cutting out lawyers altogether. So, I mean, if this person is just looking at it from market in red, as is the case across all markets, the stock market included, internationally, then they'd be correct that at this present moment the market is in red. But that's not to say that the market can't rebound if you are watching number go up type of scenario. But don't think about it like that. During the dot-com bubble, dot-com crash, websites still had value post the dot-com bubble crash, right? So it's just a case of how you view it, how you apply the technology, and what the future of the technology is, which is far beyond collectibles and art and number go up type stuff. So that's my answer. We're bullish. The outlook is pretty strong long term.
The ease of use from the Caribbean. Delroy is pointing out that Scotia said there are some sites that draw a red light immediately, but they will enable you if you give them 24 hours notice. And he says he hasn't tried NCB in a while. And then the bird says only Scotia allows it, and it's a very gray line. And he says you can't even use NCB on Coinbase. So I know that we do
Yeah,
have those issues. But given
I
that
have heard.
Scotia is allowing it, and Scotia is one of the most conservative banks in the
Yeah,
country, and they're now
let me
allowing it, at least with notice, that is some progress from where we were 2 years ago.
let me say this. I'm not sure how true it is, but I've read that if you have a debit card, if you have a Visa debit, for example, if your Visa debit is more recent, then you would have the trouble that I think the second to last person pointed out. But my Visa debit actually expires next year. I've had no issues. I don't have to give notice. Sorry, I've been buying, maybe even more than I should,
Mm.
but I've been buying, so no issues on that side. And from the NCB end, I've not used it myself, but I have friends that that use the NCB credit cards to purchase. So I'm not sure. I've been told as well that JMB is friendly. I can't confirm, but I've heard talks that JMB is also friendly. So if you guys are having trouble with Scotia and NCB, maybe check out JMB. We're also
Mm.
sponsored. I always plug.
Right? Perfect plug.
Yeah.
All right. So
Right,
before we
right,
wrap
right.
up, though, you mentioned something about a travel portion of this. You have Trip Hut. So
Right,
tell
right,
us
right.
what that is and how that ties into all of this.
Right. So as you know, it's important to establish use cases to show people that okay, this thing can actually work. So uh, the idea is from the studio side of things, when we do our own projects, to make it successful and take that success and show it to clients or potential clients and say, hey, we've done this thing. It's produced this. Allow us to do the same for you. So from just like a high level business standpoint, that's a strategic thinking. And not only that, but it's important to not have revenue totally dependent on client services, hence the studio. But a little bit about Triput. It's actually what we got 70,000 USD from the largest decentralized fund in the world just recently. 40 million USD worth of voting power had confidence in the concept. It's new, it's fresh, it's not been done before. It's simply a case where, all right, I describe it to people as this. There are a couple of things to the model. Model A is travel bursaries. So imagine a scenario where you submit a proposal or a travel request to the DAO to say, hey, we've never left Jamaica before. We'd like the opportunity to see what Fiji looks like. For that week, if the community votes for your proposal to be, or your travel request to be the winner for that allotment, then funds are automatically dispersed to your wallet to be able to use for that travel bursary. And we're able to pay for that through portions of Mint. So imagine we sell that membership pass for 100 USD, 20% goes to a shared treasury where that happens. Now you might say to me, all right, that sounds like a very cool idea. I see how that's more inclusive. I see how that can catch a headline, but that doesn't scale, right? So to persons that would say that, that's where models B and model C come in. There are concepts, if anybody here is familiar with Constitution DAO, where people come together to pool funds to buy an asset that they otherwise couldn't afford. A similar idea here. We pool funds to either A, acquire a boutique hotel, or B, acquire, I'm very ambitious, acquire a local beachfront property, right? Build out an experience. And we found that, let's say we have 5 units and we lease 3 to the wider public, i.e. non-members. We found that if those rooms are sorry, if we found that if those 3 rooms are booked for 70% of the year, it covers for the expenses for all 5 units, allowing us to gift the remaining 2 units to the community for free. Finally, if you say to me, okay, all right, that sounds very neat, scales better than the first thing you said to me, here's where we scale value. So your standard travel club partners with third parties who would allow us to sell their inventory at a discount to help them move it. So think a similar vibe to your Gustazos, your Hoppers, that kind of a vibe. So it's a travel club in its original sense, but it also has 2 other elements that we've not seen before from a travel club. Travel bursaries, dedicated inventory for the community, both discounted and in some cases free, and then your classic model. So that's what we're doing for our first project. And yes, it's similar to timeshare. I'm seeing a comment, but yeah, let me know if you follow the concept.
Okay,
We can
so
take it from there.
no, so it's actual real travel, right? You're not selling me something to go in the metaverse. You're not selling me like
No,
a
no, no. Real
virtual
travel,
tour. It's
real
real
world
travel.
utility. I, that is exactly it. We want the NFT and to help people understand that this is more than just a metaverse play. This is more than just uh, the internet. Like NFTs can have real world applications as well, because if you have the NFT, for example, and as I say, token gates this experience, as in you can't have this without this NFT, then that's a real world integration with something that people traditionally affiliate with just monkey JPEGs. It's a lot more than that.
All right, so I'm going to take the last question from the audience. And this one comes from O'Shane, who says, what about the legal aspect of all of this? The SEC doesn't want unregistered securities.
Agreed. So and great question, great point to raise. On our team, from day one is a lawyer, to help us navigate. Even though from a regulatory standpoint, a lot is unclear locally and globally, moves have been made in certain directions, and we obviously have the Howey test to go by. So the first thing to note is that we're not selling a security; we're selling a utility token, and that's how we position not only the things that we do, for ourselves. It's the same thing that we do for our works, like for our clients. A membership pass is not a security, right? An art piece is not a security. A collectible is not a security. A security is a security. If you're looking to pay out profits, like if you're doing profit sharing, like if you're earning revenue and then you're sending it to the people who bought the NFT, then you're in fact a security. There is some gray line, and it's unfortunate that people are not realizing what's happening. You can take anything and make it a security. It's really just infrastructure. It's malleable. The tech is malleable. You use it to do things. You use it to create art. Art is not a security. You use it to create a collectible. A collectible is not a security. If you do use it to create a security, then you are a security and deserve to be regulated as such. So it's about how we relay this information as an industry, and then hopefully we set the right precedents in court to be able to appropriately set up, I guess, the long-term clarity for how things are in the industry. But a lot of talks, but it's just about you optimizing from day one. Hey, what's the approach here? Like, is this about distributing profits, or is this about something else? And we're in the business of something else. If we were to do a security token, we'd treat it as a security. We'd actually go through the route of registering it as a security.
Interesting. So you did mention during the interview that you are raising capital. You've gotten 70,000 USD from, was that Project Catalyst that gave you that funding?
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So what are you looking to raise now? What do you want to do with it, and how can people participate?
All right. So overall, we're raising around 217,000 USD. So far, we've raised 100,000 USD, as was stated earlier. If anybody is interested in participating in the round, you can reach out to us at 301-0013 via WhatsApp. You can email us at yaadlabs@gmail.com, and we'd be more than willing to have a discussion to see if we can, in fact, work together. That's what. Let me know if I answered everything.
And how I spell Yaad?
Yaad is YAADLABS@gmail.com.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and we wish you all the best on your project.
Thank you very much, Kalilah. Thank you guys very much for having me.
Big things from Yaad Labs.
Yes, ma'am. And you can look out to hear from me. I'd very much like to have you on board as well.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
All right. Cool.
It's time for our poll question of the week. I feel like we should have asked about NFTs, but the question is actually about TransJamaican Highway. How do you feel about TransJamaican Highway? Is this the right question? I think the question should be, how do you feel about the news that TransJamaican Highway expects revenue to be higher than pre-COVID levels? That's right. So they say that the number of vehicles on the road is catching up to pre-COVID levels, the 2019 levels. And by the end of this year, they should be more than where they were in 2019. As you remember, the IPO price for TransJamaican Highway was $1.41, I believe, and it fell because that was right after COVID, right? Like just terrible timing for that IPO listing. And that stock price fell and it's kind of just hovered around that range for a while. So how do you feel about this news that the traffic on TransJamaican Highway should increase? So give us your comments, take our poll on Twitter and on YouTube. So here are your options. The stock price should increase because of the new Maypen leg being opened. Shoot, I shouldn't have sold my shares. I don't care. I didn't buy any shares or other. Leave a comment. And while you're at it, remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Up next, we've got your market recap and the analysts are standing by.
This segment of Taking Stock was brought to you by Bulwark Insurance Agency, Insurance Made Easy. Time now for your market recap. The JC Combined Index was mostly flat last week. 124 stocks traded across the main and junior markets for the week ending Friday, November 4, 2022. 55 made gains, 51 lost value, and 18 stayed the same. 153 million shares changed hands on the Jamaican dollar market, valued at $504 million. Wigton Wind Farm was the week's most traded stock. It took up 24% of market volume, with people buying and selling 38 million shares in the company. The stock opened this week at 60 cents. G West Corporation was the second most traded stock, with people buying and selling 21 million shares in the company. The stock lost 9 cents to open this week at $1. And Dollar Financial rounded out last week's most traded, taking up almost 9% of market volume with 13 million shares trading. The stock lost 9 cents to open this week at $3.28. Now let's see who had the biggest gains for the week. PBS 9.75% cumulative redeemable was last week's biggest gainer. The stock was up almost 31% to open the new week at $140. Iron Rock Insurance was the week's second biggest gainer, up nearly 20%. The stock gained 45 cents to open this week at $2.73. And rounding out our biggest gains, Sagicor Select Fund Financial is up almost 15% to open the new week at 47 cents. On the losing side now, Epley 7.5% preference shares due 2024 was last week's biggest loser, down 27% to open the new week at $5.35. Margaritaville Turks was the week's second biggest loser. The stock was down 15% to open Monday at $19.21. And rounding out the biggest losers was Sterling Investments. It fell 13%, closing the week at $2.51. Over on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, the composite index was mostly flat last week. Massey was the most traded stock. It opened this week at $4.43 TT. LJ Williams was the market's biggest gainer, up 7% to open this week at $2.20 TT. And on the losing side, Calypso Macro Index Fund fell 6.5% to open the week at $20.55 TT. In the US, the Dow Jones lost 1% last week, while the S&P 500 lost almost 3% and the Nasdaq lost 5%. Gas prices rose by 25 cents last week, while regular diesel went up by $3.96 and ultra-low sulfur diesel went up by $4.50. In foreign exchange, it took an average $154.60 Jamaican to purchase $1 last Friday. That's 51 cents more than a week before. Meanwhile, it took an average $173.16 Jamaican to purchase £1 and $154.25 Jamaican to purchase €1 last Friday. Finally, on the crypto markets, Bitcoin prices rose 3% in the past 5 days. The cryptocurrency was trading at $20,786 on Monday, and Ethereum rose almost 5% in the past 5 days, trading at $1,588 on Monday. This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, is brought to you by Jamaican National Group. We'll help you find a way. Disclaimer. This is not intended as financial advice. Please consult a licensed financial advisor before making investment decisions.
Welcome back. Before I introduce our analyst panel for tonight, let me take some more of your comments. So, best sports analyst data He wanted to know which apps, and we already covered that. Richie says, "Let's get this money." Ville in the building. Elaine was saying, Elaine said that my IPO predictions are way off. It's not even so much about predictions. So this happens all the time. I get heads up from various places and they say that something is coming, and almost all the time this happens. They're like, "Yeah, man, it's coming out this week or by next week, the latest." And then 2 weeks later, and it's not out yet because there tend to be issues with the regulations and they have to pass through all these various agencies before it can be approved. So you never have a hard and fast date. There may be projections for when something is coming, but I tell you, something is coming. I just don't know exactly when. So it didn't come when I said it. I expected it. But then again, I probably shouldn't have said that I expected it based on experience. It's how it almost always happens. They always tell me it's coming by this week, and it almost never happens when they say it's gonna happen. So lesson learned. Next time I won't give you a timeline. All right. Delroy says, in the digital world, every single thing will be NHT. CJ says, World Ventures needs to get in touch with with our guest just now. Wayne says it wasn't terrible timing, it was strategic move, referring, I believe, to TransJamaican Highway. What was strategic? COVID? Because that timing right around COVID-19, they announced it before COVID. It went on, well, the IPO opened and then COVID hit, and then they had to list right after that. So I don't know that they could have predicted that. How's that strategic? Wayne, explain. Richie again says, all I can say about TJH is let's get this money. Stock price fell, but dividends ton up. And I see a few of you agreeing as well. Yeah, you might have seen that video I did about TJH last week. They just paid dividends at the end of October. So good going for those of you who are invested in that stock. Well, it's time now for the analysts. Let me introduce this evening's panel. I'm joined by Jamar Brown, Senior Research Analyst at JN Group, and business writer at the Observer newspaper, David Rose. Hi, Jamar. Hi, David.
Good
Good
night,
night,
Kalilah.
Kalilah.
Thank you for having me.
Great to see you. So, Jamar, you are looking at Supreme Ventures. They have published their 9-month results ended September 30. Give us the highlights.
Correct. Correct. I'm going to share my screen now, so please let me know when you're seeing it. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yes, tonight we'll be taking a look at Supreme Ventures Limited's recently published results for the first 9 months of financial year 2022. So that would be from January to the end of September. Now, Supreme Ventures Limited is widely regarded as Jamaica's premier gaming and entertainment company, with some of its offerings including the well-renowned Cashpot and Lotto games, the Acropolis Gaming Lounge in Barbican, as well as Caymanas Park, which it acquired in 2017. Now, in addition to these offerings, earlier this year, Supreme Ventures Limited secured global certification for its mobile gaming platform from Gaming Laboratories International, making SVL one of only 2 companies in the Caribbean region to be GLI certified. Now, according to the CEO of Prime Sports and SVL subsidiary, the company can now offer its mobile gaming platform as a service to other operators. He stated that the system is now being used in Guyana, where the platform will allow SVL customers to place wagers on a number of games via a mobile app and a web application. Now let's get into the financials, which is why we're here. Now, as you can see from the income statement here, during the first 9 months of 2022, SVL achieved revenues of $37.5 billion, which was a 18.3% or a $5.8 billion increase over the equivalent period in 2021. Net profit attributable or net income attributable to stockholders was $1.9 billion, which was a $433 million increase over the corresponding period in 2021, while earnings per share increased from 57 cents to 77 cents over the period. Right, which you have the highlights right here. Now, looking at how the revenue was achieved through the different segments of SVL's business, we see here that the lottery segment accounted for 46% of revenues. Sports betting, which includes horse racing from Caymanas, accounted for 25%. And PIN codes, revenues from PIN codes, which represent sale of phone credit from telecommunications providers, accounted for 24%. Other income, which you see there, this includes rental income as well as gain on disposal of property and plant. That accounted for 5%. When we dig down into the financials, we saw that the lottery segment actually reported income of 17.4 billion, which was a $3 billion or a 20% increase over the prior period. The sports betting segment accounted for 9.3 billion of income, which was a 9.6% increase, while the PIN codes segment saw a 7.5% increase over the 2021 9-month period. Now, the lottery segment, as you can see from the chart, it continues to generate the most revenues for SVL. However, the sports betting segment is showing fast growth and is expected to continue to improve with the resumption of major sporting leagues such as the EPL and Champions League, whose schedules were interrupted due to COVID over the past couple of years. In addition to this, the World Cup tournament will be kicking off this month, so we can look forward to strong Q4 numbers for the company. Now,
Right, and that's sports betting. Yeah.
Right, so that segment will be seeing a boost this quarter. Let's take a look at the balance sheet now. Some balance sheet highlights. We see that total assets for the 9-month period of 2022 increased year over year. It amounted to 17.2 billion, which was a 13% increase from the 15 billion for 2021. And we see liabilities also increased from 9.7 billion to 11.2 billion year on year. Total equity attributable to shareholders increased by 9.4% from 3.8 billion to 4.2 billion as well. Now, let's zoom out a bit, looking at a 4-year period. Some selected ratios we have here for SVL. We see that return on equity has remained very strong over the period, over 50% every year, amounted for this year, or for the last reported financial year, 2021, it was 55%. We also see return on assets is maintaining in the double digits, 13.5% for 2021. We also see current ratio at a healthy 1.5x and effective tax rate remaining stable at 29%. Operating expenses ratio has also remained stable at over 5.5% over that period. Now, these ratios indicate that the company's stability over the period, it has remained stable over the period despite the economic upheaval which we would have experienced during COVID. Now, taking a look at Supreme Ventures' price chart over that same 4 to 5 year period. From 2018, we see that the stock price has grown from $10 to $26.18, which was as at yesterday. Despite COVID, where we see that slump there, this uptrend, it confirms that the stock has done well for investors who would have held it since 2018. And year to date, the stock has grown 47%. And over the 4-year period of 2018 to 2021, it has seen average cap gains of about 23% per year. Additionally, SVL has returned about 4% annually in terms of dividend payouts.
Mm.
Right. So finally, let's take a look at their price to earnings ratio. Over the last 4 years, SVL has traded at around 23 times earnings, and currently it's at 26x, which suggests that if we believe in convergence to the mean, a fair price would be at around $24.82. We believe that despite the fact that it's currently above historical levels, SVL is a stock you can look to add given its recession-proof business model and its growth trajectory, which includes expansion into South Africa and Guyana. Now, that's the end of my presentation.
All right. So, who would you say this stock is ideal for? What type of investor?
Well, it can be ideal for both investors who look at dividends as well as investors who are taking a long-term look in terms of market capitalization on their portfolio. SVL, as I said before, it's a recession-proof business model, which, given current market climate, I think that kind of stock would be what investors would be looking to.
And what risk level would you associate with this company?
We would associate a low to medium risk rating for the stock for SVL.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that analysis, Jamari. Definitely appreciate that. Another
Pleasure.
company that we're looking at this week is Mailpac. So they are actually doubling down on e-commerce and other initiatives in order to grow their customer base both locally and overseas next year. And this is despite a fall off in their earnings since the reopening of the economy. David has been tracking Mailpac. So give us the latest with this company, David.
So keep it simple. Mailpac is saying, hey, the pandemic might have, created this. Mailpac said that, the pandemic created a shift and persons are, more comfortable doing online shopping. And although you would have seen persons, deciding to travel instead of, ordering through freight forwarders, at the same time, Mailpac is like, hey, persons are still spending a greater share of their wallet to order things through freight forwarders. And they're saying, hey, although you've seen a relative decline in the pace of earnings growth, they're like, we're coming stronger. So yeah, because has several initiatives that they're planning to launch out going forward into next year, basically. So Mailpac pointed out, they actually plan to introduce a barrel option. So Jamaicans typically pack barrels up north, your Irish spring soap, your tuna and other assortments. Mailpac is basically creating a technological platform, or that platform in a sense to allow persons to do that. They're exploring acquisitions again. So, the reason why the company said that they held on to so much cash over the last 2 years in a sense was to actually position themselves to take advantage of opportunities if acquisitions presented themselves at fair valuations and great opportunities. So they're actually looking quite aggressively right now again. See how they can tackle that back again, because they plan to make themselves into a regional player, not just focus on Jamaica, but to become a regional player. And they basically mentioned the fact that the company has expanded the capacity to actually manage the rising demand. So remember back in December 2020, Mailpac, would have seen an extreme surge in the volume of packages and processing that it got, at the time. And as a result, they had to increase their expenses, which depressed the fourth quarter profits in order to keep their customers happy, but at the same time, maintaining that brand equity. They're like, hey, this is not going to happen again. We have actually put in the capacity. We're ready to manage the demand again. And, it's a good look. And, I look forward to what Kari's actually going to do in short order. And I speaking about the executive chairman, what he's going to do with the Mailpac group, especially considering that it's a company that generates more than $100 million every quarter in cash flow. And they're actually supposed to have a dividend consideration meeting this Friday. So for shareholders who have held from IPO to now, they're banking. Probably like 20-30% of the money has come back as dividends alone. And although the stock price has relatively retreated from the start of the year, I think it is one of the worst performers so far this year. The company itself has not necessarily changed that dramatically. So we should look out, in the short order for Mailpac to give some more context on those potential acquisitions, and let us see what they come do with this Friday when they come with that dividend consideration, because the thing is they come out generate strong cash flow right into the Christmas season, which is historically their best performing period. So
Right.
let's see what actually comes out during this period. And they're actually planning to launch a new logistics brand, a new local courier platform as well.
I'm kind of surprised that it's taken Mailpac this long to get into the barrel business, given what their core business is. And barrel just seemed like it's a traditional way that Caribbean people send items back home. So I'm glad that they're jumping onto that. You mentioned the acquisitions, and I saw in that article that you referenced, actually was a Gleaner article. It says here, Mailpac is now back in talks with previous acquisition targets, as well as new prospects that were identified during this year. Any idea what had happened with those acquisition targets?
No, so Kerry actually expounded in the meeting in the sense that he pointed out that at the time, based on the relative uncertainty, and we don't know what negotiations had occurred as well, that they decided to actually just stick to core and just focus on strengthening the business, because the reality is all the businesses were acquired in the last 2 years at some great discount for some businesses. At the same time, it might not have been done at what some business leaders would have called, or executives would have called, fair opportunities. So they have the capital, in this case cash, they're debt free, and they have the backbone and support of the Nordic group. So it's going to be interesting to see how it actually plays out, because if you are generating $100 cash every quarter, you have no debt, and you're seen as a strong business in a sense, it's easy for them to source capital to tackle different opportunities. And I agree, barrel should have been one of the complementary businesses that would have come up from long ago, but it's best to take time rather than just rush forward on some projects.
Jamar, I want to hear you a little bit on Mailpac, because one of our viewers, Jeff Vaughn, says Mailpac is a very overrated stock. I don't know how much you pay attention to Mailpac. Do you have an opinion on that?
Well, I won't comment on its how overrated it is. I haven't taken a look at its PE ratio or valuation recently, but I do know that our stock market is very reactive, and when you see a company posting negative growth for consecutive quarters, it can be concerning. But I believe that they are doing well in terms of diversifying their business model, as David would have mentioned, and I look forward to seeing what they bring to the market. But no, I can't comment on it being overrated.
All right, fair enough. Thank you guys so much this week.
Can I
Yes,
just add a
David.
final point? So I think when the person was speaking about the TGH IPO being strategic, I think they were speaking about the government's decision to divest the interest at the time they did it, because it might have been seen as unfortunate to some new investors, but at the same time the government got the capital to actually tackle the pandemic with their weaker package. So it might have been a disadvantage for some new investors, but at the same time, when you went into $1, for example, your person's collecting an 8%, 9% dividend yield now. So there are two sides to the equation, because your investors were sold and some were bought more. And then when it comes down to the IPOs in general, until the FSC gives a letter of no objection, nothing is set in stone. So while they and their brokers and other legal or professionals, and say, hey, we expect things to come up by this date or whatever, until the FSC gives that green light, or actually say no, just letter of no objection, they can only speculate. But the reality is, although the JSE expects 4 IPOs for this year, we don't know if we're going to get 2 or if all 4 will come out in the same week. Because if you remember December 2017, we had Victoria Mission Investments Limited, we had Cinco, we had GWest, and we had Fast Switch all in that 1 month. and all got oversubscribed. So we can complain that there's no IPO right now during November, but I hope that people, have some capital on standby in case Christmas becomes IPO rich, if you get what I'm saying.
I tell you, last year, December, we had at least one as well. Because
We
right
had
when I said I'm taking a break for a couple of weeks and no taking stock, boom, thing drop. And
Spiritory was at IPO.
And then you had Alliance around that time when, well, we
No,
all
that
know
was
what
the
ended up
prior year.
happening with Alliance.
Alliance for December 2020, actually. December 2021 was when they were suspended by the
2020.
BOG.
I feel like it was 20. Anyway.
I remember.
It feel like it was just yesterday. All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks for
You're
your
welcome.
analysis this evening.
You're welcome, Kalilah. Thanks again.
All right. We're going to take a very quick break, come back with our final comments.
This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, was brought to you by Jamaican National Group. We'll help you find a way.
Hey, moneymakers, you're not an official part of the family until you have your merch. Visit KalilahReynolds.com/store to order your t-shirt and your mask today. Let's get this money. All right, a few final comments from the viewers. Nano Sense wants to know, why is Taking Stock not giving us the value of the Canadian dollar? Oh my gosh. Okay, fine. Canadian, because we started with just US. But then because the British pound had been doing such interesting things lately, we started adding British pound. And if you talk pound, then we kind of have to add euro. So now you want the Canadian. Okay, fine. We add Canadian just for you. No sense. Javon wants to know any info on the R.A. Williams IPO. Like you heard, you don't know until it actually is out. Roswell was saying pharmaceutical companies planning to come to IPO market, referring to the same R.A. Williams. Ryan said SVL is another sweet tooth dividend cash cow like Carreras. And then Steve asking, when is the IPO coming? The one that I alerted you to. He says, we have dry powder ready to go. I love your use of that phrase, Steve. That tells me that you watch Taking Stock very regularly, and I know you do. That is a phrase that I first heard with the Cygnus guys about dry powder. So you have your dry powder ready. It's coming. I just don't know when. That's just the way it is. Things will never be the same. Yeah, that's just the way it is right now. So when I know, you will know. Our team has been on standby for the past week and a half, 2 weeks, so that when the IPO alert does drop, we are ready to go. Send out the email, send out the IPO alert. Soon as I know, you will know. All I know right now is that something is in the works and it is being prepared for release, but they have to wait for all the regulators to sign off. So that's our show for this week. Guys, if you haven't liked the video just yet, just make sure that you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and of course, we want you to share it with your friends. Subscribe to the newsletter at KalilahReynolds.com/newsletter, and reminding you that email subscribers get a copy of my free broker guide. Turn on the post notifications so that you can be the first to see everything when it drops, so that you can, or we can all get this money together. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Kalilah Ray, and follow KRM_business news on Instagram. Remember, those are my only accounts. I don't have any backup accounts. I just saw a brand new fake account on Twitter. Somebody sent it to me today. I guess Elon trying to get me to pay that $8, but I only have one account. Yeah. If you want to connect with the analysts this week, check the description box below for their contact information. And of course, visit our website, KalilahReynolds.com, for financial information you can use however you like it. You can watch, you can listen, or you can read. Now tell a friend about Taking Stock, because investing is the new sexy. Let's make it cool to talk about money. I'm Kalilah Reynolds. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.
Let's get this money.